Asia. This is a continent with highly diverse and assorted cultures, with all of them blending together to form this beautiful piece of land. However, the extent to which the similarities can be observed forms a topic of great interest for scholars, anthropologists, linguists and the likes. One such fascinating relationship is observed between the South Indian language of Tamil and the language of Korean. In this video, let's trace roots to know the reason behind this relation and about a Tamil queen who is still worshipped as a goddess in South Korea. Also, let's see the reason behind 10 to 15 million people of Tamil descent living in South Korea. Also, we will be seeing how a mistake made by historians have earned fame and tourist exchange for a wrong state. Having said this, without further ado, let's begin the video. As we know, kingdoms are always hungry for territories and hence used to wage wars for territorial expansion. But wars were not the only ways through which one could expand their kingdom. They can also accomplish this by marrying the princes or princesses of other kingdoms. For example, if a prince of Kingdom X marries a princess of a small kingdom, the small kingdom will also become a part of that prince's empire and turn out to become a bigger territory. And here, there is a win-win situation, as the prince would get a share of territories and the princess would lead a lavish royal lifestyle. Similarly, there was a kingdom in Kanyakumari which wanted to marry their princess to the prince of some other kingdom. And that princess was a 16-year-old girl named Seembavalam from Kanyakumari, and the prince was a 17-year-old boy named Suro from Hea of South Korea. For a matter of fact, her name means Seembavalam or red coral in Tamil. Warning. The next few seconds might not be true, and this is just some mythology and legends on how Seembavalam and Suro were set to be married. Legend has it that the heavenly Lord had come in Seembavalam's parents' his dreams. The Lord had told Seembavalam's parents to send their daughter to Suro, as she had been chosen as the king of Hea. The dream showed that the king had not yet found a queen. Meanwhile, in South Korea, the courtiers of King Suro had wanted Suro to marry soon. So, they brought beautiful maidens from all over the country to the court and asked Suro to select his wife. However, Suro stated that his wife would be destined to come to marry him by the heavens and not be selected by him. And coincidentally, it was the same day when Seembavalam's parents received a call from their lord in their dream. The legend ends here, and let's jump back to reality. At that time, there weren't much transportation facilities. Hence, the king and queen from Kanyakumari sent Seembavalam in a huge boat with lots of army members and helpers. Asking why? In case spies from other kingdoms, bandits or animals attack her, the army should take care of Seembavalam. The other people included cooks who were sent to cook food made in their empire if Seembavalam was not comfortable with Korean food, textile weavers in case Seembavalam is not comfortable with Korean wear, top-class sailors to steer their boat to South Korea, etc., along a huge amount of money and expensive jewelry for expenses. After 2 months of a sea journey, Seembavalam reached the kingdom of Hea in South Korea. There, both Seembavalam and Suro had married, and upon marriage Seembavalam was given a Korean name. The given name to her was Hea Hwang Ok, which means yellow jade, and her family name was Heo. Hence, Seembavalam adopted the name Hea Hwang Ok. After the marriage, few of the people who came with Seembavalam decided to return back home along with 30 rolls of hempen cloth each of 40 yards long and with 10 bags of rice given by Suro for the return voyage. The remaining huge amount of Tamil-speaking people who went with Seembavalam had also settled there and married other South Korean citizens. They too adopted their names into Korean, just like Seembavalam changed her name to Hea Hwang Ok. Now you know what would have happened after that. These Tamil speakers and Korean speakers intermingled among themselves, and their cultures also blended with each other. Also, the Tamil speakers and Koreans had married each other and giving birth to children with both Indian as well as Korean lineage. These children grew up and gave birth to new children, their children gave birth to new children, and the cycle goes on. Today, more than 6 million South Koreans, that is around 12% of all South Koreans, are from Seembavalam's ancestry. In other words, they are the descendants of Seembavalam. This 12% also includes a number of South Korean actors, actresses, sportspeople, artists, businessmen etc. who all trace roots to be the descendants of Seembavalam. And one of the most famous Koreans with Tamil ancestry are the reigning presidents Lee Myung-bak, Mrs. Kim Yoon-ok, former President Kim Dae-jung, former President Kim Young-sam and former Prime Minister Kim Jong-pil. But I guess we have forgotten something. Seembavalam did not travel to the kingdom of Gaya alone. She was accompanied by a large number of Tamil speakers. If 6 million people have come from Seembavalam's descent alone, imagine how many would have come from the ancestry of the remaining cooks, army men, textile weavers etc. who had traveled to Korea with Seembavalam. If you don't believe this, I can cite proofs for this. Almost 1,000 words are same in Tamil and Korean and thousands of words are similar sounding. The word I in English is pronounced as na in Korean and na or nan in Tamil. The word you is pronounced as na in Tamil and niyo in Korean. The words mother and father have the same pronunciation in both languages as ma and appa. Sister-in-law is called unne in Tamil and dioni in Korean. Grass is pronounced as pul in both languages. Similarly, there are hundreds of more words which are similar in both languages. Next, an Indian cannot easily relate with an English movie because he doesn't know how the life there would be like, and Englishmen won't be able to relate with Indian movies and serials as they won't know the life in India. But on the other hand, Korean dramas, serials and movies are highly relatable to Tamil people due to the similarity in culture and the environment. Similarly, Koreans are able to relate with Tamil movies and serials as per surveys. There are also reports where it is stated that there is a genetic link between some ethnic Indian and Korean groups based on a DNA sample analysis. The samples were supposedly taken from 2 royal Gaya tombs in Kimhae, South Gyeongsang Province in 2004, and the Indian sample was reportedly taken from the southern part of India. Hence, the connection was found. Kannan Narayanan, a professor in Amst University of Malaysia who is specialized in Tamil Korean heritage, says the Koreans are as emotional as Indians and have the same affinity for bonding and intimacy like Tamilians. Another fascinating thing is that, the Korean national anthem, namely Araran Araran, which was in the UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage list twice, shows an incredible resemblance to a popular Tamil lullaby. Also, both South Indian women and Korean women have customarily worn garlands made of jasmine flowers on their hair. The reason being, they not only hand down the best natural deodorant, but also protect against bacterial infections. It is also considered a symbol of fortune in Tamil Nadu, and women think that this makes them look beautiful and attractive. Next, while entering a Korean home, you must remove your shoes. A dirty floor is intolerable in a Korean home, unlike Western nations where dirty shoes are permitted inside the house. And guess what? The same is the case of India too. Nobody is allowed to wear slippers and sandals inside the house. The similarity is also reflected on food. Both Tamils and Koreans have their food with pickles which are made into fresh relish and chutney, with various food items of Indian cuisine such as raw mangoes, lemons and gooseberries. Both of these cultures are also highly dependent on rice in their cuisine. Similarly, there are numerous ways in which both of these cultures are related to each other. Back to Seembavalam, she gave birth to 12 children and had lived for 157 years, including the one she lived in India. During her royal life in South Korea, she had guided 8 different generation princes in her lifetime as an emperor. Those princes had looked at her as a godfather, and she eventually became a goddess as well. Today, millions of people even worship her as a goddess and keep deities of her in their homes. But here is the sad thing. Most Tamilians haven't even heard of her. One reason for that is that, Princess Seembavalam has been told to have come from the Ayutthaya kingdom, which is as mentioned in various sources including their famous books, Kim Byong-mo's archaeological travels, Hea Hwang Ok's route, from India to Gaya. Hence, Koreans started seeing Ayutthaya as a holy place. So, recently, they wanted to build a temple for Hea Hwang Ok in Ayutthaya, which they consider as their sacred place. So, upon asking historians about Ayutthaya, the historians had told them that Ayutthaya was supposed to be the ancient city of Ayodhya of Uttar Pradesh. An anthropologist from the Hanyang University, Kim Byung-mo, drew the conclusion based on the phonetic similarity between the two names. Hence, Koreans had constructed a holy monument for their goddess Hea Hwang Ok in the city of Ayodhya. But the reality is that the city of Ayodhya had a different name back then. It was called Saketa during that time, which is almost 2,000 years ago. The name of Ayodhya was kept only 200 to 400 years ago. In other words, Seembavalam would have told the name Saketa if she was really from Ayodhya. Hence it was proved that Ayodhya was not the place from which Seembavalam had come from. But before drawing the conclusions that Ayodhya of Uttar Pradesh was different from the Ayutthaya kingdom mentioned by Seembavalam, the monument was already built. Soon, there was a brief period of time when it was claimed that instead of India, the Ayutthaya city could have been the kingdom of Ayutthaya of Thailand. But it was later dismissed by a French scholar of Southeast Asian archaeology and history, who revealed that the kingdom of Ayutthaya of Thailand was created only after 1350, much after Seembavalam had come to Korea. Only upon further research, it was concluded that she was Tamil and that she had come from Nadu, or Ayutthaya Nadu, a vassal state of the Pandya kingdom in present-day Kanyakumari of Tamil Nadu. The ancient Tamil Pandyan dynasty ruled from 300 BCE to 1650 CE at an era where scriptures mentioned Kanyakumari as Ayutthaya Nadu. Hence, historians came to the conclusion that Hea Hwang Ok or Seembavalam was from Kanyakumari and not from Ayodhya. Another point to prove this fact is the fish logo containing things Seembavalam had carried to Korea. They resemble the logo of the Pandya kingdom, which was ruling Kanyakumari back then. But still, the monument was constructed with the denomination of over 25 crore rupees in Ayodhya before the Kanyakumari thing was proven. And each year, millions of Koreans come to Ayodhya to visit this temple. And due to the mistake of historians, Uttar Pradesh earns a lot of foreign exchange and tourist money through this. But whatever it is, we are proud Indians to have cultural ties with South Koreans. Even when a former South Korean president visited India, he bowed to the soil and told, "I am proud to stand in the same place where I once belonged to." And with the hope that this relationship between both countries continues, I will end this video. I will see you in another video. Till then, goodbye.